Guys, we did it. We made it to 10 episodes, and nobody shut us down yet.
10. Oh, sorry.
No.
10. Okay. You can't see me. I'm flashing my fingers. But since I have something in my hand, it's actually 8.
I'm going to be the voice
of Seinfeld, or like the Seinfeld with the Martin Van Buren game, with the salt shaker and he has 8 fingers up. That was me right there. Because I was holding an Altoid in my hands.
I'm going to be the voice of Tierney here and say no.
Nobody likes Ty Dillinger, actually. Actually, that's not true. I mean, he's fine. Whatever. Like he's whatever.
Anyway, welcome to episode 10 of Two Guys One Sport.
10. Okay, that's enough of that.
My name is Chris.
I'm George. Hi, everybody.
We're already off to a roaring start here.
If you haven't noticed it by now, I used to go in with show notes, and I printed out a bunch of show notes, and I would adhere to the show notes. Now, I mean, Chris has got this shit on lock. I just kind of go with the flow.
Yeah,
I know what I want to talk about.
We like to have a general structure, and then we let the discussion evolve as it goes.
We are not. You know how WWE scripts every part of a match?
Yeah, we are the opposite.
We don't do that. We are old school.
Yeah.
We do the beginning, we do the go home spot, and any big high spots in the middle we talk about. Everything else we kind of just see what happens.
Yeah, it's like the old days. You two go out there. You've got this much time. You win and make it happen.
Exactly.
That's it. All right, so today's going to be indie wrestling discussion. We're going to do a little bit of a talk about how some indie feds have adapted to the changing of mainstream wrestling, and how mainstream wrestling is, just continually scooping up indie talent by the truckload, and how the indie feds out there are working around that. And then we're going to do a little bit of a yes or no kind of game of naming some of the better known talent in the indie scene, and deciding whether or not they're going to be in the WWE's employ by the year 2020.
New Year's Day 2020, 1/1/2020. That's our cutoff. We're gonna go through pretty much every roster. We're gonna skip the obvious no's and probably a few of the obvious yeses.
Yeah,
and then we will kind of go through every name and give our thoughts.
I mean, we're going to try and stick to like notable names. Like, we're not going to go with people who have just been signed who nobody knows about yet, but definitely the established acts of indie wrestling that are, well known in their respective feds, and especially if they have like a worldwide or at least a national following of any sort. We'll go through all those things. So matches of the week, though. You mind if I start this week?
Oh, absolutely, by all means.
Yeah. So last week you asked me for a Nixon Newell match, since I had given an Evie match back towards the beginning of the podcast. I don't even remember when that was. That might have been episode 1.
Yeah. Either way, though, I do remember asking you this.
Yeah. So my match of the week is a Nixon Newell match, and it is actually a match that we might be seeing a repeat of in WWE this year. This match comes from January 29th in World Wonder Ring Stardom. Nixon Newell against Kari Hojo for the Wonder of Stardom title. This was the main event of their show at Shinkiba in Tokyo. Part of the Stardom New Year's Stars 2017 show. And those of you who follow either Nixon Newell or Kari Hojo, or both, know that these two are probably two of the best female baby faces in all of wrestling worldwide. Like, we talk about Bayley being a pure baby face in WWE. Bayley's got nothing on these two. The two, like, bluest of eyes, whitest of bread baby faces that you could ever imagine. They play face and peril perfectly.
I pop hard for whitest of bread.
Yeah. I mean, these two are just amazing at what they do. But the interesting thing about this is that during Nixon Newell's tour of Stardom here, which was pretty much the entire month of January, she and Kaylee Ray were both in Japan with a number of other female wrestlers for a Stardom tour. And Nixon and Kaylee were tag teaming for most of this tour, and they were both playing heels for pretty much every match. So the crowd had become a little bit accustomed to booing them. They were showing some attitude, but normally Nixon Newell is very much a babyface. And Kari Hojo, as everybody who follows Stardom knows, she is like she is the darling dear of the Stardom fan community. The pirate princess. Everybody loves Kari Hojo. Everybody loves her piratical antics, and her entrance and everything. She's never going to be at a show in Japan where she will not get raucously cheered, which played in very interestingly to this match because Kari was basically the heel in this match and Nixon was playing babyface after spending a whole month playing the heel and Kari being the babyface and everything else. And Kari was still getting all babyface cheers, but she was talking trash at Nixon the whole time, just laying in with just vicious submission holds. Just a really good change of character for her, really showed some depth to what she's capable of putting on in the ring. And the match itself technically executed amazingly well. These two both are probably among the top 10, top 15 female wrestlers in the world, and it shows in this match. Very well executed technically. It ends, of course, with Kari Hojo retaining the Wonder of Stardom title with her signature elbow drop, which is for my money the best elbow drop in the world right now. If not ever. It's so good. That was the last match of Nixon's tour in Stardom. After that, she went back to her home in the UK and has been performing in and around the UK ever since. But she's closing up her affairs and seems to be on her way to her signing with WWE, which did take place recently. I'm not exactly sure when it was that she signed, but she is signed, and she will be reporting fairly soon to the Performance Center. And as we know, Kari Hojo also signed with WWE and is likely going to be dropping the Wonder of Stardom title next week. Actually, not even next week, in 2 days. Stardom has a big show at Korakuen Hall where both Io Shirai and Kari Hojo will both be defending their titles. Io Shirai defending the World of Stardom title against Toni Storm, and Kari Hojo defending the Wonder of Stardom title against Mayu Iwatani.
Is it like the IWGP Heavyweight Championship and the Intercontinental Championship in terms of status? Is one clearly ahead of the other? Are they both like 1 and 1A? Like what do those belts mean?
It's definitely a 1 and 2 belt. The World of Stardom title has been the like #1 title since Stardom was established as a promotion. The Wonder of Stardom title was introduced later, but is basically always been seen as the second belt. But it definitely has a very long and honorable history. The World of Stardom title has been in Io Shirai's grasp for a very long time. I think she has the most days, not consecutively, but definitely the most all-time days holding the title. In fact, I'm actually going to look this up now while we're sitting here.
Live radio, baby. Let's do it.
Yeah, she has been the World of Stardom title holder for a grand total of 507 days.
Wow.
In this, her second reign, and her first reign with the title was 468 days.
That would be a long time.
Yeah, that's over a cumulative total of over 3 years with the belt. It's if not over 3 years, at least
it's close. No, it's more than Punk's 434, which is the modern benchmark.
Yeah.
In not just WWE, but I would argue any promotion.
Mm-hmm.
I think the days. There's a chance you get close to that with Okada if he keeps the belt to and through the Dome. I still think he's going to drop it before the Dome and get it back. But that's me.
Yeah, it's about 2 years and about 8 months, But it is absolutely the longest cumulative total of anybody who's held the title. The longest single reign was Nanae Takahashi, who held the belt. It was the first title holder for the belt and held it for 602 days, starting back in 2011, going all the way up until 2013. But Io Shirai has been, rightfully so, as the ace of Stardom, has held the belts for the most cumulative number of days.
She's excellent. She's very, very excellent.
Said by many, including myself, to be the best female wrestler in the world. And
I won't argue with that claim.
And also, Io Shirai is also currently one of the holders of the Artist of Stardom titles, which is the trios title in Stardom. So, but if she is coming to WWE, she's got some business to clear up. But suffice to say, this event in 2 days at Korakuen Hall is really going to determine. Is really going to be very telling about the future of Stardom.
Is Iwatani still retiring?
It is confirmed she is retiring, but it's going to be later this year.
Okay.
So my belief is that this is going to be like her gold watch title run before she retires. And it really is honestly a shame.
Why is she retiring?
I don't.
I know she's not yet 30. I believe. I think she's fairly young.
She is only 24 years old. She could still have a very long career in front of her if she wanted to. I think she's retiring for other personal reasons. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but she is she has definitely been one of the other Mayu, Io, and Kari are called the Freedom because they are the three top stars in Stardom, and they have been basically the foundation of the promotion for a very long time. And if all three of them are leaving this year, it's going to be very interesting to see where Stardom goes. But this event in 2 days at Korakuen is going to really be indicative of what's going to happen there. It's almost certain that Kari is going to drop the belt to Mayu so that Kari can clear out and head off to WWE. But if Io also drops the belt to Toni Storm, who is believed by many to be the next ace of Stardom, it will also be telling of Io's future as possibly heading to WWE as well. So, but that's my match. Nixon Newell versus Kari Hojo. If you have Stardom World, go watch it from the January 29th show, as I said, from earlier this year. Definitely a very good watch.
There is a huge hole in my wrestling library of women's wrestling that takes place outside of the WWE that I need to fill. So I will definitely have to check that one out.
Yeah. All right. So your match of the week, sir.
Speaking of holes, a while back in the daily on CageSideSeats.com. And again, if you're not, what are you doing? You should be a member. You posted a list of matches that you hadn't seen that people had recommended to you.
Yes.
This is one of those matches.
Okay.
So I scanned the list, and we talked one of them before, which is the submission match from Mania 13 was on that list.
Yeah.
And I scanned the list, maybe about 6-7 matches, and I said, "Ooh, Chris hasn't seen this match. Well, this is gonna be my match of the week."
Okay.
My match of the week is the 1992 Royal Rumble match.
92. Okay.
92. The first time the title itself was defended in the Rumble.
Okay.
This is a list of some of the gentlemen in the Rumble. Okay, 30 guys. I'm going down the list in order, and I'm skipping the obvious jobbers and mid-carders, and I'm reading the main eventers / future Hall of Famers. You ready?
All right, go for it.
British Bulldog.
Okay.
Ted DiBiase. Ric Flair. Haku. Shawn Michaels. Tito Santana. The Barbarian. Kerry Von Erich. Greg Valentine. Nikolai Volkov. The Big Boss Man. Jake Roberts. Jim Duggan. IRS. Jimmy Snuka. The Undertaker. Randy Savage. Skip. Rick Martel. Hulk Hogan. Sergeant Slaughter. Sid. I skipped like 6 names. 24 of those guys.
That has to be the most star-studded match in the history of WWE.
It has to be. I cannot think of one off the top of my head that has a higher number of Hall of Fame guys. I mean, I haven't gone through the entire list, but off the top of my head, half of those guys I listed are in the WWE Hall of Fame, if not more. I mean, I would posit maybe 20 of these guys are in the WWE Hall of Fame. And a lot of them are in other Hall of Fames, too. Like, a lot of these guys are Hall of Famers, are in the Hall of Fame in Iowa, the one in New York, the quote-unquote real wrestling Hall of Fames.
Yeah.
Like, this is... But it's not just the star power. I have a top 10 list of all-time wrestlers. And people say, George, what's your top 10 list? And Ric Flair is on the top 10 list. Mm-hmm. And to a lot of people, Ric Flair is one of not the greatest wrestlers of all time. Mm-hmm. Now, obviously, when someone is really, really hyped up to the extent anybody is, they say, how good can this guy really be? Mm-hmm. It's all hype. How good is this guy really? Because all I remember about Ric Flair to a younger generation is the old guy crying in the ring when Shawn Michaels kicked him in the face.
Yeah.
And the guy trying to go hold for hold with younger guys and not being able to do it.
Yeah.
Ladies and gents, if you have not watched in his prime Ric Flair, you are missing out. Ric Flair won an hour in this Royal Rumble as the champ who walked in. He drew the 3 spot, walked in the champ, and carried the rest of this Rumble for an hour. The entire time he did it, Bobby Heenan on commentary was losing his mind because Heenan was not only one of the greatest color guys of all time, he was Flair's manager. Mm-hmm. So every time somebody new would come in, he would be in pain. Oh my God, Ric Flair is in trouble, but Ric Flair would manage to survive. Mm-hmm. Because Ric Flair is the freaking greatest. He's so great. Actually, I think on my list he's third, but you get the point.
Yeah.
I don't do that.
One of the all-time greats.
He's third on my list behind Stan Hansen and Misawa, for the record. But that's a pretty good list to be on.
Yeah. That's good company.
That's good company. You've seen one Battle Royal, you've seen them all, right? Mm-hmm. This one is unique, and not only do you see stuff that would later define the trope of the Royal Rumble, the near eliminations, the ganging up on guys, the quick alliances, but again, Ric Flair does a master show. Mm-hmm. Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby Heenan on commentary do a master show, especially with Gorilla outright laughing at Ric Flair's plight because the dirty heel's getting his. Mm-hmm. And Heenan openly pleading, come on, guys, let Ric live. Come on, guys. And again, I gave you that list of stars.
Yeah.
Watch this match. It's great. Flair's great. Savage is great. Undertaker's great. Sid's great. Hogan's great. Everybody's great. Fun match. It lasts over an hour. I believe the actual runtime is an hour and 2 minutes, and Flair's in the ring for an hour of those hour and 2 minutes.
Yeah.
He's third. So it's just a masterful work. One of my all-time favorite Ric Flair matches. The match I tell people to watch if they ever doubt his in-ring ability is this match and the Kari Von Erich cage match, which we'll review later. Mm-hmm. Both on the network. Both highly recommended.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't need me to tell you that Ric Flair was the MF and man, but Chris, Ric Flair was the MF and man.
I believe it. Yeah. And let me just say for my own explanation here, the reason why that list of matches I haven't seen came up is because the topic had somehow come up. I think it was because of Mr. Eddie Mack's countdown of our first memories of wrestling, and I had mentioned that mine was of some event where the Undertaker was ganged up on and then was buried, but then rose to the rafters on ropes, and somebody in the thread was like, "Holy shit, that's the '94 Royal Rumble!" And I was like, "Really?" I had no memory of anything from that night except that, and so I actually went back and watched that, and that match, the casket match with Yokozuna. Was easily the...
Is that the one where everyone gangs up on him and the casket explodes and then he appears in the Titantron and freaks everyone out?
Yep, exactly that one.
That's pretty great. That was a big moment in 10-year-old George's life.
Yeah, well, I was there and I saw it live, and that's the only thing I remember from that night. And let me also state for my own shame that did not immediately turn me into a wrestling fan. I don't know why, but it didn't. But
by the way, I just posted on a little live thread the link to the actual Rumble itself on the network. Yeah. It's pretty great. And as Adam Rice says, the promo afterwards with the tear in my eye. Oh man, that's just good stuff.
Yeah.
Good. Adam Flair holding the belt and Heenan in the background and Mr. Perfect standing there. And I think there's a Rick Rude sighting even in this promo. Yeah. And Flair just cuts the best 30-second promo you'll ever see. and it just conveys that yes, he's the man, and yes, he's still your champion.
Mm-hmm.
It was awesome. Ric Flair was only WWF the first time for I think 9 months, 10 months, but it was a pretty memorable 9-10 months.
Yeah, because he wasn't in that '94 Rumble. He wasn't in any.
No, I think he was back by then. I think he was back in the in WCW by then. I think he was only in WWF for maybe a year the first time. Let's see, it was not long at all.
Yeah,
91 to 93. August of 91, started appearing on television the next year, and then left on one of the earliest Monday Night Raws, January 93, lost a really great Loser Leaves Town match to Mr. Perfect.
Nice.
So basically a year and 3 months he was in the WWF, but it was a pretty memorable 15, 16 months.
Yeah, definitely.
So I post the link in the thread for those of you following along with us.
Yeah.
Thanks again, obviously.
If you want to join in on CageSideSeats.com, along the right side of the page, you'll see among the fan posts is a post about our podcast, and you can join in the discussion there. We are always happy to interact with the listeners live as things are going on. So today, let me just say, I know that today is the Indie Wrestling show, but I titled today's podcast, It's Not Paranoia, It's a Podcast, because God in heaven, I love the Usos right now. I just need to get that out.
They're so great. No, they are great. I love their weird War on Coke promos.
Yeah. 12 days, 12 days, just repeatedly 12 days.
I care about this program, and it's 4 guys who I didn't give a damn about a month ago.
Absolutely. Fantastic stuff.
It's 4 guys who I couldn't give 2 shits about a month ago, 3 weeks ago, and now I care about all 4 of them.
The Fashion Files and the Coked Out Usos, the 2 of the best things that have happened in SmackDown Live.
How great was their jaywalking and Jimmy walking?
Yeah. I think
I died laughing like one of the weasels at Who Framed Roger Rabbit when I heard that line.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Just great stuff. But we'll talk about that next week. Next week is the large NXT, Chicago, and WWE Backlash, and Evolve. We got Evolve 84.
Yep.
Big night of wrestling in the Windy City / Rosemont. So we'll do all that next week. But now, Chris, you have thoughts on indie wrestling, right?
Yeah. Today we're going to talk a little bit about indie wrestling and how indie wrestling has been adapting to the changes in mainstream wrestling in recent years. Because as we've seen with NXT and the Cruiserweight Classic, now the Women's Tournament, a number of other things, WWE has been just grabbing up indie talent by the truckload. And it's to the eyes of some may have left the indies basically picked dry. A lot of big star power names, aces of their promotions, just picked up and taken away. Names like Johnny Gargano, Roderick Strong, Austin Aries, Chris Hero, Samoa Joe, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn. These are all guys who were the number 1, number 2 guys.
I mean, we forgot the big 2 coming out of New Japan. Not an indie per se, but
AJ
still
Styles
arrayed AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura.
Yeah. So this has been a very, very strange time for indie wrestling, but there have been a lot of feds that have not only managed to survive this, but thrive. And one only needs to look to promotions like Evolve and Progress that are now, despite losing huge numbers of big name talent, are now essentially must-watch promotions for people that are fans of indie wrestling. It's amazing to see how this happens. There's a lot of factors in this. One I would have to say is the ability of promotions to elevate talent in ways that are unexpected but welcome to see.
How so?
Looking at Evolve, I look at Evolve and think, okay, we had the 500 plus day title reign of Timothy Thatcher that was viewed as the the albatross around Evolve's neck during the time that it was going on. But let's look at what was happening underneath that as Evolve was continuing along its path and losing a bunch of talent along the way. You know, the Johnny Gargano, the ace of Evolve, he had his farewell from Evolve last year, and now is full time with WWE. In his place, we have seen the rise of the Bro. Matt Riddle is an absolute revelation to independent wrestling, to wrestling in general. He is reshaped every single promotion that he's gone to around him and has made himself the main event because of the fact that he is such a unique performer. And that started, I would dare say, with Evolve, putting him in as the WWN champion and just letting him go out there and just put on 4-star and 5-star matches every single night
that are all 10 minutes long.
Yeah.
Proof you don't need. Proof as fun as a 25, 30-minute long New Japan style main event is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with a quickie, for lack of a better term.
Yeah. And the ability to also show a plethora of different styles too. I mean, the guy's a submission artist, but he's also a great striker. And when he needs to bust out some flips, he can bust out some flips. And credit to a promotion like Evolve for oh my god, I'm sorry, I was just utterly distracted
I think I'm distracted by the same thing you're distracted by, but keep going.
The fact that Evolve is giving guys like Riddle license to just go out and put on matches and are not scripting things into oblivion in the way that WWE.
Holy shit, this belt is hideous. Sorry. I don't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, no. We got
Japan just announced the IWGP United States Championship.
Of course they did.
And at the Ring of Honor show, because who needs Ring of Honor?
Yeah.
This is not an attractive belt.
Nope.
First of all.
Nope.
Not at all. Second of all.
Shit.
Yeah, that's not at all attractive.
What?
Yeah.
What even is this?
It's okay. It's a circle. It's a heart.
Everybody, I'm just gonna give my 10-word description. They took the worst aspects of the Universal title, the US title, and the IWGP IC title, and just mashed them all together into one belt.
Okay, it's a red belt with a giant heart-shaped thing in the middle.
Yeah.
And in the middle is the words United States, IWGP United States in gold and silver on red leather.
Mm-hmm.
That looks like a heart.
Yeah, with an American flag on it too. Don't forget
with an American flag on it too, and big silver letters. And it looks terrible. But hey, that's not the point. The point is that the expansion is real. They're coming. The IWGP United States. I wonder. I mean, there's a lot of questions.
This is probably going to be the first champion.
Per Reverend Kane. In a tournament over these 2 nights, July 1st and 2nd, which are the Long Beach shows that are going to be on Access, an IWGP United States champion will be crowned. It is the first time Japan has introduced a new singles championship since the never open weight in 2012.
Yep. Yeah, the expansion is coming. And this actually is a nice thing to have during this discussion, because it's also, this is one of the things that I was actually going to bring up in the conversation. So first of all, promotions giving guys a shot to just go out there and put on matches and do what they needed to do, and just go do what you can. No agenting, no scripting, none of that stuff. It was like we said at the top of the show. You go out, you got this much amount of time, you're gonna win, make it happen. And these guys just go out there and they do it without a second thought. And that's how you get matches like all of Matt Riddle's amazing matches. That's how you get matches like all of Keith Lee's amazing matches that he's had recently. Guys just going out there and finding chemistry with the man standing opposite of them, or the woman standing opposite of them, or the tag team standing opposite of them. You go out there, you find the chemistry, and you make it happen. But the second thing that has been a huge piece of the indies surviving and thriving has been cross promotion, alliances, and branding alongside your allies. Um, the big one that everybody points to immediately is always the New Japan Ring of Honor alliance, which we've been seeing dividends of for years now. I mean, your boys, the Young Bucks, made their careers in Japan basically overnight, while on loan from Ring of Honor. Adam Cole, huge success in New Japan, on loan from Ring of Honor. The current IWGP Tag Team Champions, War Machine, on loan from Ring of Honor. But there are other promotions that are doing this kind of thing regularly. Evolve, Evolve is, as a promotion, they travel a lot. They travel all over the country, but their home base has always been New York.
Yes. And they do the wandering shows, like they're coming to Chicago next week.
Yeah,
but mostly it's New York City.
Yeah, they do shows in Brooklyn and they do shows in Queens, and they sometimes venture out onto Long Island. But recently for their New York shows, they've come together with a small New York-based promotion called Tier 1 Wrestling, and they basically put on back-to-back shows in the same venues. On most days that Evolve is in New York. I don't think that they're doing one for 87 coming up, but I know that they did one for 83 a few weeks back. And Tier 1 is a lot of just local New York State wrestlers, and they'll shell out to bring in a few bigger name guys every now and again, but it's mostly just a lot of up and coming guys. But that's how you get your performers noticed. Darius Carter, who's the current Tier 1 champion, he's probably going to start showing up on Evolve shows because he's been going out there and proving himself and looking pretty good in it. He had a title defense against the artist formerly known as Pentagon Jr. At the Tier 1 show that was the same day as Evolve 83. Or no, it wasn't against Pentagon Jr. Whose title defense was against God, I don't even remember now. Crap. But I mean, all the same, still Carter's been great as the champion, and he's making a name for himself because of a large part of that, because of that cross promotion. People who would go to the Evolve show are also now going earlier in the day for the Tier 1 shows. And that's how people's names get made. What are some of your thoughts? Because I've been dominating the conversation here.
I'm listening. It's just my independent wrestling experience. In the past 6 months, a year, WWE has scooped up tons of talent on me, independent wrestling. Off the top of my head, Chris Hero, Drew Galloway, the artist formerly known as Heidi Lovelace, other women, Kimberly, Io Shirai, as we discussed. Like there's just been a plethora of big name guys, but the indies are as strong as ever. And I think a huge reason of that is because they present an alternative to the WWE. As much talent as the WWE has, the booking is still very inconsistent. It's still very 50-50. It's still very, we going to do whatever we can to get Roman Reigns over. And to a huge section of the smart fan base, they don't want that for whatever reason. So they support I know for me, when I go to AEW shows, and I try to go to as many as I can, it's almost like a family reunion. I see the same wrestlers every time. I see the same people in the audience every time. It's, oh, hey, how you been? How was your last few weeks, et cetera, et cetera. The same venue, the same people at the venue, there's a familial atmosphere for a lot of these smaller shows. I mean, even Progress, which runs to 1,000 people, that's new. A lot of these are much smaller venues, 500-600 people, and they really kind of foster this familial us against the world atmosphere. The talent comes in, they sling their merch, They interact with the fans, and you really feel like a sense of belonging when you go to some of these smaller shows. But I think that now that we have a new generation of indie talent, like Keith Lee basically came out of nowhere. I know he was huge in Texas for a long time, but basically down in Texas only.
Yeah,
Ring of Honor screwed the pooch with him, and now he's on Evolve, and he's kicking ass and taking names.
Exactly, yeah. They wasted him in a lot of ways.
They absolutely wasted him. We talked about Matt Riddle, who is a revelation. A guy who's been doing this for as short amount of time as he has should not be as good as he is. He is a prodigy.
Mm-hmm.
In every sense of the word. He is a prodigy. He is one of the 10 best wrestlers in the world already. And he's been doing this for, 3 years?
If that.
And he gets it. We talked about how New Japan lost 4 rocks of their community in Nakamura, Styles, and Gallows and Anderson.
Yeah.
4 pillars, right? I mean, we've heard that Carl Anderson was Gato's right-hand man in the backstage, basically.
Yep.
But New Japan now is more interesting than it has been in years because it forced them to push Naito, do new stuff with Okada, do new stuff with Tanahashi. We talked about them dropping Tanahashi down into the mid-card last week.
Yeah.
It forces bookers to try new things.
Yeah.
Right? Gabe loses Chris Hero, the king of the indies. And what's he do? He slots in Zack Sabre into that role. And it works. He finds Keith Lee. He finds Matt Riddle. He does stuff with All Ego Ethan Page.
Yep.
Like, the best will be able to figure it out. Like, your super shows, your PWG, to a lesser extent AAW, Wrestle Circus, the guys who don't do a ton of storyline stuff, they're going to suffer a little bit. I mean, you look at an AAW show from 5 years ago and you look at one now, and it's no comparison. There's more talent 5 years ago. I mean, if nothing else, you had Chris Hero and stuff like that. Yeah. You don't have that. You don't have access to that now. But it doesn't mean the shows are any less compelling because they're still compelling.
Yeah.
The stories being told are just as good. And as anything else, the storytelling matters in professional wrestling.
Yeah.
And a lot of fans, myself included, are dissatisfied with the storytelling in WWE. NXT's been a revelation, and we'll talk about that next week. But main roster WWE has been stagnant at best. When I want good stories with faces who are good guys, who are cheered, and heels who are bad guys, who are booed, not this backwards shit like you're getting on Monday Night Raw, I go to an AEW show. I watch Evolve. I watch a smaller indie. I watch even PWG with their heavy-ass kick-out finisher style.
Yeah.
Like, it's... This shit isn't hard, Chris.
It's not.
It's find a good guy, find a bad guy, have them fight over something.
Yeah.
Pro wrestling's not complicated.
One of the things that I have noticed especially is indie promotions that are capitalizing on the mistakes of some of the mainstream promotions and making the most of them. You talked about Keith Lee, guy who was an utter waste of space in Ring of Honor, is now one of the most sought after guys on the entire indie circuit worldwide, easily. Guy like Drew Galloway, who left WWE and then went and became one of the most sought after indie performers in the entire world. Shattered all expectations that anybody had about him and about his abilities by going out there and proving himself. And there are so many other great examples of that. And of course, as soon as I say that, I blank completely on all of them.
Well, I mean, you look at a guy like Jimmy Havoc, right? Yeah. And how he's evolved in progress, and his storyline progression from the first couple chapters of him like begging to get on the card to where he is now. You look at someone like Ginny in progress, who came out of nowhere.
Oh
and
my God!
And incredibly over heel.
Yeah,
making stars isn't. Making stars is hard because finding someone who's connects with the crowd to the extent those have is tough. But telling good stories should not be difficult.
Yeah, I just remembered one of the examples I had. Sami Callihan.
Okay.
Excellent.
AEW regular.
Yeah, excellent wrestler. lit up the indie scene for a very long time, and then went to NXT. Was sorely underutilized and mishandled throughout his whole time in NXT when he was working as Solomon Crow. Got released and went back to the Indies without even missing a step, and is already right back to where he was before.
He is the most hated man in every AEW show.
Yeah.
And it's not even ironic hipster hate. It's actual hate. Like, people have, like, taken swings at him from the crowd hate. Like, real hate. Don't do that, by the way. That's very dumb. I'm not condoning that. Let's be fair. It's real hate. Yeah. Real, actual, honest-to-God, like, 80s wrestling hate for Sami Callihan in 2017.
Yeah. And
how cool is that?
Chris Hero is another one that I just remembered here. You know, went to NXT as Cassius Ohno. You know, again, mishandled, left, dominated the indie scene for 3 years, and now all of a sudden became a hot commodity brought back to NXT. Juice Robinson.
Juice Robinson, a great example.
Incredibly mishandled again in NXT. This is like the through line.
There's a theme here.
Yeah.
You're mishandled in WWE, and then now you go and you do bigger and better things.
Either mishandled in WWE or mishandled in Ring of Honor. One of the two.
True.
Yeah, and now just had a main event title match against the single most over performer in all of New Japan in Tetsuya Naito, and tore the house
Which was
down.
excellent, by the way.
Yeah, amazing match. Tore the house down.
Told the story. It had a callback to their tag match. Did you like how Naito was terrified of the pulp friction because it ended the match, the tag match? See, the real quick segue, one of the reasons I love New Japan is that it rewards me for being a fan and watching all the shows.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm watching that match, and I see Naito terrified of that move and doing whatever he can to not get hit by it, because he remembers what it was like to be hit by it and lose the match, and so do I. They're really great at rewarding fans for being fans, whereas WWE is really great at making fans feel stupid.
Mm-hmm. Another
the problem is the booking.
Another great example, real quick. John Morrison. A guy who was basically a one-trick pony in WWE. Came in, did a bunch of high spots in a match, lost more often than he won. Never really, caught on with the crowd.
Was the Marty Jannetty of his group with Shawn Michaels?
Yeah. And then leaves and is immediately made the leading star of Lucha Underground, and is basically one of the only reasons to watch Lucha Underground now. I mean, when they come back for the second half of season 3, I'm only watching to see if Johnny Mundo is going to get his comeuppance finally.
I'm actually watching Lucha Underground right now.
Mm-hmm.
I am about probably Saturday or Sunday. I will watch Aztec Warfare, the first one. I just watched the match leading up to it, where it was the weird 10-man versus 10-man match, or the weird one was a battle royal, one was like a tag match, and then Matanza beat Phoenix, and Matanza will be the last guy in Aztec Warfare, and Phoenix will be the first guy. So I'm gonna watch the first Aztec Warfare, and Johnny Mundo is pretty great on the show. He's much better now than he was in WWE. There's a lot of guys who are better now that they have. You know what it is? There's 30 guys booking Raw and SmackDown, and they shackle these performers and don't let them do their own thing.
Mm-hmm.
And the ones who are naturally gifted will rise to the top. For years and years and years and years and years, promos were never scripted until they became scripted verbatim. And that's why you hear stuff about, I want a championship opportunity for a WWE championship at next pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Like, who talks like that? And I'm here to perform in front of the WWE universe and be a sports entertainer.
Mm-hmm.
So we get these unnatural buzzwords. But in the indies, guys can do their own thing, which is why when we get to the indie list that we're going to get to, I got 2 names that are going to surprise. I got 2 percentages that are going to surprise you, I think, when we get there. But we'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah.
So, but there's a systemic problem. There's a systemic problem with WWE, and a lot of the indies offer these freelancers, and that's what they are. They're freelancers in a lot of cases, the freedom to do what they want. And to a lot of guys, wrestling is art.
Let me just actually make a quick correction
Sure,
here.
please.
The first Aztec Warfare was Mil Muertes, not Matanza.
No, you're right. Not Matanza. Mil Muertes.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
because Matanza actually.
No,
Matanza
Matanza's not yet appeared. I know
Yeah.
how the story ends. Matanza's not yet appeared on screen.
Mhm.
Dario has talked to him a few times, and he's had the key, but he has not yet been mentioned on screen. You're right. Mil Muertes versus Phoenix. My apologies.
Who was also an equally monstrous, scary guy, though. So.
Yes, not Matanza. My apologies.
That's all right, man. So thinking about that now, just before we go into this list, what indies do you think are going to become in the near future are going to really start to stand out and become like the must watch promotions? We talked about Evolve and Progress.
PWG, because they purposely limit themselves to just the one lead. PWG has a lot going for it that they're doing right, and a lot going for it that they're staying in their lane.
Mm-hmm.
Their lane is we run one show a month in front of 500 people at the American Legion Hall.
Mm-hmm.
We get the first crack at every wrestler. Matt Riddle has already blown off other promotions to go work PWG shows. He's not the only one.
Mm-hmm.
PWG comes calling. Every wrestler in the world wants to work the show.
Yep.
They're helped immensely by the fact that it's the only independent show that Dave Meltzer ever watches on a consistent basis. He flies down there. He sits front row. He's on camera with his notepad taking notes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like the old line: if you make it here, you make it anywhere.
Davey Hammer Curls.
If you make it a PWG in front of that crowd, you can write basically any check you want.
Yep.
Because they're merciless. They'll let you know if you're shit. They'll let you know if you're great.
Mm-hmm.
So people, again, they don't stream. They release their DVDs after the fact. 5-6 weeks after the fact. They run one show a month. There's no storyline progression. It's just, here's a bunch of guys. Let's go have some matches. They're the only place on the indies you can watch the Young Bucks and a few other guys, and they get the first crack at everyone. They're going to be fine as long as they keep doing what they're doing.
Okay.
So they don't really count, though, because they're more than happy to just keep – they're not expanding any. AEW does a lot of the same thing, except they stream and they don't have as good a match quality. But their match is still very good, so I'm going to set them aside.
Okay.
I think as long as Gabe can keep the Flow Slam deal, I think Evolve is going to be growing.
Yeah.
I think that's a given.
Yeah.
I think Ring of Honor, depending on what happens with the Sinclair, the WGN Tribune Company takeover, could grow business-wise. Business-wise, Ring of Honor is better now than they've ever been. Match-wise, it's crappy.
Yeah.
But business-wise, they're making more money than they ever have. It's much like WWE. WWE's making more money than they ever had, but the match quality is crappy.
Yeah, there are probably more people among the Cage Side Seats community who are watching Friday Night CMLL right now rather than Ring of Honor's War of the Worlds, which is
well. Why would you pay $30 to watch that card?
Yeah, it is.
When you can watch anything on Flow Slam, or you can watch old stuff on Progress for $8 a month, or you can watch old stuff on Stardom World, or you can watch CMLL Friday night, or you could have just watched back-to-back New Japan episodes on Access, or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, why would you pay $30 to watch a pay-per-view in 2017?
Yeah.
A pay-per-view. What the fuck is this? A pay-per-view.
Yeah.
When there's so many over-the-top streaming services.
Exactly.
Like, what are you doing here?
Yeah. Ring of Honor needs to get with the times in terms of that aspect of their business. And I think that's why that's one of the probably biggest reasons why New Japan is starting to distance themselves from Ring of Honor, is instead devoting more time and effort into their partnerships with Rev Pro and CMLL. That's
good. New Japan we didn't watch. This is the New Japan on Access. You ready?
Yeah.
That just aired. Bushi defends the IWGP Junior title against Kushida.
Okay, great match. I remember that.
Evil challenges Katsuyori Shibata for the Never Openweight Championship. That's a sky point for Katsuyori Shibata. Yep. Roppongi Vice faces Taiji Ishimori and ACH in the Super Junior Tag Tournament Finals.
Okay.
That was your New Japan on Access.
Yeah.
Somebody once asked Dave Meltzer about 3 weeks ago, the number 2 promotion in the U.S., and he said, I think it's New Japan, and I think he's right.
He absolutely is.
To be honest with him, I think he's right. Because Impact is solely focused on international deals, which they should be, and it's easy to throw shit at Impact for, but they're absolutely doing the right thing by trying to get on Sky Sports in the UK, Sony 6 in India, the stuff they're doing in Italy and Germany. That's absolutely the right move because the pop deal is a disaster, but it's just enough to keep them alive.
And let's be honest here. Anybody who's a fan of Impact is gonna remain a fan of Impact regardless of what happens.
They've hit the rock bottom in terms of fans.
They've got their audience, and that's it.
And more power to them. Yeah. It's easy to throw shade at Impact, but I'm not doing it at this show. I don't watch it because I don't have it on my Sling package.
Yeah,
I probably wouldn't if I did. But you know what? You want to watch Impact? God bless. It's not my thing.
Yeah.
More people watch New Japan. More people pay to watch New Japan.
I subscribed to Impact's YouTube channel briefly at the end of 2016 just to keep up with the Ali and Maria Kanellis storyline. That was the only thing, and the Broken Universe. And the Broken Universe, peripherally.
I would argue more people watch New Japan and Access than watch Ring of Honor because Ring of Honor is only available in 40% of the markets, and it's syndicated and it's on weird times. New Japan and Access is on 6 o'clock and 7 o'clock Central Friday nights. That's decent TV time.
Yeah.
Sinclair is not. First of all, Sinclair's not even on here in Chicago, the third largest market. We don't have Sinclair. I don't have Ring of Honor.
Mm-hmm.
I may get it now that they bought Tribune, but that's down the line.
Yeah, it's only that Tribune deal is only for expansion into other markets. I mean, yeah, it's good that they'll be able to do that, but I mean, who doesn't, who is going to watch Ring of Honor that wasn't already a fan of it though? That's the thing. It's not. This is not like it is
no expansion.
with
There's no
WWE where they can grow their audience easily. That's not a thing that they can do because being on such a low reach channel and low reach broadcasting, it's very difficult to find a new audience. Even with acquisition of channel space in new markets, whereas online presence, New Japan World, Stardom World, Flow Slam, Demand Progress, all these great streaming services, they can just go to any website they want and buy ad space, and there it is, instantaneous link to watching wrestling. And you can pick and choose whatever you want. It's amazing. It's incredible the variety that exists now because of that. And that's the last big thing as to why indie wrestling is succeeding, is that they have found ways to capitalize on a market that, I will grant, WWE did start with the WWE Network, but they have found ways to take hold of that market, the online wrestling market, and make it their own and make their own space. And it is amazing that so many streaming services have just popped up seemingly out of nowhere. I remember last year when Flow Slam was first announced, and people were immediately skeptical, like, oh, I don't know if I want to pay for for that, because I don't know if I'm going to watch all of those promotions. I don't know if they're going to be able to produce content consistently enough. And now Flow Slam is basically the number 2 thing that you'll buy after the WWE Network. New Japan World growing immensely in subscriber numbers. I think
still hurdles. Their English language stuff is a mess.
Yeah, but
it is growing. You're 100% correct.
Yeah, I think when Wrestle Kingdom came around, they announced that they had over 10,000 subscribers in the US, and it's growing all the time. I pay for New Japan World, and I do not regret a single cent that I've spent on New Japan World. It's an amazing value deal.
It's a great value.
Yeah,
it is a very, 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 very good value.
Yeah, Stardom. I would not even know that Stardom existed if not for seeing something about Stardom World. I would not even know that it existed. I would have no exposure to some of the greatest female wrestlers in the world. And because I found out about Stardom World, I now can watch these matches, and I can be, educated about all these other different things. Demand Progress, RPW on demand. There's so many options. It's incredible, and it's probably only a matter of time before CMLL has their own streaming service too. I mean, they do their streams on YouTube, but they're probably
Sports, yeah.
Yeah, they're probably going to get they're probably going to integrate themselves into their own independent streaming software soon enough as well, and monetize that, and they'll make bank.
Also, I think we've hit a little bit of an oversaturation with WWE in terms of talent. There's only so many spots on Raw. There's only so many spots on SmackDown. There's only so many spots on NXT. And until and unless they start doing these Mexican shit shows they're talking about, UK shows they're talking about. Everybody.
I mean,
Again, the storytelling isn't there for a lot of fans. So there will always be talent on the indies.
yeah. And there's also the perception that, you know, with people getting scooped up by WWE and NXT, that some of these people are just, you know, sitting on the sidelines and aren't being utilized. And that, I think, is a deterrent for some people from signing. That's why, you know, at the end of the Cruiserweight Classic, guys like Kota Ibushi and Zack Sabre did not, you know, immediately jump for deals. And I'm sure that WWE offered them boatloads of money. I'm sure that they did. But people are wising up to the fact that, you know, NXT has become a super indie fed, but people are getting a tenth of the of the exposure in terms of time spent in the ring that they would from being in the indie circuit. And then their live shows are, you know, in the South Florida purgatory loop, you know, out there in, you know, friggin' Winter Haven and Largo in Florida. It's like
for 400 people.
An armory in front of 400 people. And yeah, I mean, yeah, it's not exactly different from an indie show, but at least at an indie show, there's a lot more variety and a lot more soul and fire for the event. And it's not just the same crowd every time too.
I would posit that the top guys on the indies make more than the guys in NXT.
Mm-hmm.
To be honest with you, I guarantee you, a guy like Zack Sabre, Chris Hero, Matt Riddle makes more than Oney Lorcan does.
Which is unfortunate because when he was Biff Busick on the indies,
Oney Lorcan's great.
Fantastic.
I love him. It was just the first name I could think of.
Yeah, no. I mean, it is a distinct name that, of course, comes to mind. But yeah,
Oney's great.
And Oney is actually right now the poster child of, you know, WWE not being able to give deserving people enough screen time.
Exactly.
You know, he is
the only way these guys and ladies get better is with reps, and they're not getting the reps.
Yeah, he is easily
in front of a live audience. You could practice bumps backstage in the Performance Center and on random Florida house shows from now to the end of time. But there's something different from performing on television, performing in front of a live audience.
Exactly. And you know, for a guy who is as incredibly skilled and, you know, expressive and talented as Oney Lorcan is, he hasn't even had a storyline. He doesn't have a character. He's just go out there and puts on amazing matches and then is sent back to the bench.
Yeah.
What kind of promotion is doing that with a guy of his caliber of talent? It's amazing. And terrifying in a lot of ways too, that WWE is willing to spend the money to, you know, there's the rumor going around, of course that WWE signed Chris Hero back to NXT just so that he would stop putting on amazing matches on the indie circuit. But you know, as silly as that might sound, I believe that there's got to be some motivation to that for some of these performers, because, you know, Chris Hero was becoming a bigger name for wrestling fans than some of WWE's main roster people was. So, you know, how do they justify themselves as being the number one wrestling company in the world, and yet a guy who's out on armories in front of 500 people is getting more recognition and notice than their main roster talent?
Because their main roster talent is squandered.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, I've said this before. You know what Napoleon said, Chris? There are no bad soldiers, only bad officers.
Mm-hmm.
Vince McMahon's wearing the general stars, right?
Yeah.
He's got the stars on his shoulder. He's the chief officer. It all starts with him and the direction he is taking this company, and by proxy, the direction he is taking this industry.
Yeah.
And a lot of fans, they don't want that.
Adam Rice just made an excellent point in the live thread. You know, the thing we were talking about, you know, performing in front of actual fans. That's one of the reasons why the territories were so successful. People learn their craft in front of the actual fans, not in front of coaches.
Have a rec, Adam. 100% right.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, the overcoaching of the product is killing the product. We talked about the promos being super scripted. Every match is the same, right? Do your shit, I'll do my shit. We'll go to the finish. Like,
yeah,
which is what made something like Drew McIntyre, Oney Lorcan so refreshing, is that it was such a different change of pace from your average WWE match.
And the other thing that has made WWE so predictable and stagnant in that way is that people are just doing the same moves. There's no variety to individual performances as well. And that's one of the reasons why another reason why the indies are so incredible is that you have guys like Matt Riddle, like Keith Lee, like even on New Japan, we talk about Okada. Go out there and will put on different styles of matches with different opponents. String together different moves, do different combinations of things. And that's what keeps the crowd engaged with those performances to see, okay, we've seen them do that. What else can they do? And that's something you're never going to get an answer to in WWE.
No, because every match is agent to shit. I told this story before.
Yeah.
But when AJ Styles and Kaz Okada had their G1 match, the awesome one, AJ says the only people in the room were Gedo, him, Okada, and the Young Bucks, and they put a match together. They didn't have 14 agents. Dean Malenko was nowhere to be found. No Arn Anderson or Jamie Noble or any of the washed-up wrestlers. It was just the guys putting a match together.
Yep. And the other thing about
professional wrestling, vis-a-vis the WWE, is killing the creativity of the wrestlers, and a lot of guys don't like that. That's why they keep leaving or not signing and going to the indies.
And also the politicizing of different aspects within WWE in regards to who's going to be the guy on top, who's going to be the the big name performer. There's the story that goes around, or it actually was publicized when Roman Reigns was on Talk Is Jericho. He talked about their WrestleMania 31 match with Brock Lesnar and how Lesnar and Heyman wanted it to just be a squash, and Roman had to fight them to get it to be an actual match. And it's like, that's really a thing that's happening, that performers are saying, no, I just want to have a squash match and just kill you. It's like, that's really a thing that's allowed to take place.
Who's exactly allowed? Who is allowed that culture to happen?
Yeah, it's
allowed.
Terrible.
You said it, allowed to take place.
Yeah. And the fact that WWE has given that license for their wrestlers to have their headlining main event guys to have that kind of ego and power trip to themselves, that they can say, nah, I don't want to have an actual match with you, or that they can go out and, again, Lesnar with Dean Ambrose at WrestleMania 32 can go out and put it, phone in an absolute shit performance and still be maintained as being a headliner. The very next event is like, what company would allow that? Any other wrestling company, if Keith Lee went out on Evolve 84 in his match with Dijak and just completely phoned it in and was just going through the motions, wasn't really doing anything crazy or impressive, Gabe would say to him, okay, that's it, you're off the next 3 shows, and would pull him, or otherwise take action to reprimand him, because that's not a thing that's acceptable. If you're going to go out there and have a spot, make sure that you're continually earning your spot, because if you're not going to put in the effort to earn your spot, somebody else will.
Truth. Preach. So, can't argue with you. I'll argue with you when you're wrong, but I can't argue with you. Not gonna lie.
Yeah. So now that we've said all that, let's talk about some of the current big names of the indie
New Japan Ring of Honor stars. Again, the question, percentage. A percentage chance this guy or lady will be in the WWE on or before New Year's Day 2020. So 2.5 years.
All right. So you start one, I'll do one, and we'll just go back.
I'll give you one, and I'm going to give you a low percentage.
Yeah.
Matt Riddle. I'm going to say like 25. I think he loves the indies. I think he loves the freedom. I think he loves setting his own dates. I think he loves smoking all the pot, which you can't do as much of in the WWE.
Yeah,
I think he likes the freedom. I think he likes slinging merch. I think he likes all of it. He's 31.
Yeah,
he can go to WWE in 5-6 years once he's done.
He'll be perfect for the NXT main event.
Yeah, he'll be ready to go. 37. I think like 25% chance.
I'm gonna say.
Plus, I think WWE, if they wanted to sign him, I think they would have already signed him. I think they're a little spooked by. I think they're spooked by the pot. I think they're spooked by the no-shows and the canceling of dates last minute and the double booking. I think there's a little something going on there. I love him. He's my second favorite wrestler in the world right now. I love the guy. But I think they're a little spooked by him.
I'm going to go a little bit higher than you. I'm going to say there's about a 40% chance.
Okay.
Simply because the time that he's been out there, we talked about it. He's been out there on the scene for a very short period of time. He hasn't really, gone out and spent the time. He hasn't done the time yet that some of these other performers have done. And granted, there are people that WWE and NXT have signed that have done less time, and been given spots. But I think that give it another year and a half, and if Riddle continues to put out the match quality that he has done against all the different performers that he's faced, then McMahon is going to just back up a dump truck of money to him, and we'll say, okay, you know what, we'll give you the Randy Orton treatment as far as the pot goes, and you just go out there and sell yourself and the company with your insane level of charisma, and you can just have whatever you want. I don't think he's going to get like a Lesnar type deal, but I definitely think that WWE will be willing to shell out for the guy. And if the price is right, I think he would go. I'm going to give it a 40% chance because I agree with everything you said. I firmly believe, just from casual observation at a 20-foot distance, watching him at his merch table at Evolve 83, the dude absolutely loves what he does. Right?
He loves every bit of independent wrestling.
Every single thing about it. Fantastic. He loves it. But I also believe that, eventually there comes a point where, you have to also consider, your long-term career options. And a contract WWE, may not be the greatest thing in the world for your career in terms of, exposure, but it definitely would be the greatest thing in the world for you in terms of your financial stability, because guys, if you watched Breaking Ground, they had scenes where they went to guys like Apollo Crews or Nia Jackson, said, you're getting raises. And they said to Apollo Crews, you're getting a double down raise. And the last guy who got this raise was Kevin Owens. And it's like, okay, this is a guy who really impresses and who they really want to do well. Of course, his current booking would state otherwise, but at the time, you could tell they were really high on this guy. I think that Riddle could be a guy who's in that same vein over time. All right, so
you give me a name.
My name here that I'm going to go with. I'm trying to pick someone who is not like a definite yes or a definite no. You know what? Here's one that's has its ups and downs. Will Ospreay.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Which I'm going to put
good one.
Right down the middle at an even 50%. Because Will is the kind of guy that WWE craves for their cruiserweight division. Because as much as they, have had the lackluster cruiserweight matches up to this point, Will is the kind of guy who can take that kind of time and still make it exciting. He goes out for a New Japan tag match and he's only in the match for 2 minutes, but those 2 minutes, every single eye in the entire arena is on him because he just demands your attention with
Will the thrill, right?
Yeah. It's entirely what they need as a consistent level of performance from their cruiserweight division. The flip side to that, though, is that there's a lot of concern about wear and tear.
Very. He's already got injury history.
The dude is 26 and has already got some injuries to him. And on top of that, there's also concern about adapting to the quote-unquote WWE style that everybody talks about, which is in and of itself problematic for a lot of performers because The WWE style requires you to spend half the match in rest holds. You know, you're not going to be getting like if Will Ospreay joins the WWE, I firmly believe we're not going to get a match like he had with Ricochet from last year's Best of Super Juniors, even though there are performers on that level in WWE's Cruiserweight division. You put him out there with a guy like Grand Metalik or Rich Swann or Akira Tozawa or TJ Perkins, he can go out there and put on a match that has that level of flippy craziness with any one of them. But WWE doesn't want that. And I don't know why they don't want it, but they don't. So, you know, those two things, you know, give me pause. But, you know, I put in an even 50%, and I have no doubt that WWE has their eye on him, and he's somebody who's on their watch list.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I mean, yeah, I got no argument with that. I mean, off the top of my head, that sounds about right. I'll say 60. I think he's a little more likely than not, especially with the injury history. He may take the guaranteed money.
Mm-hmm.
But 60 sounds good for me.
Okay.
Here's one for you. You ready?
Yeah.
The villain Marty Scurll.
Ooh. I was going to pick
By the way,
next.
I have no doubt he would be excellent in the WWE, but that's not the question we're having right now.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I think that gimmick translates, and I think his charisma translates. But again, that's not what we're talking about.
Yeah. God, this is hard.
Yep. This is a fun game I came up with on the L, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is.
I came up with this on the train on the way home. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, from the office today.
I'm going to give him I'm going to say 45%. So slightly less likely than not.
Okay.
For one reason, because, you know, for all of the hamminess of Marty Scurll's gimmick, it still is enjoyable to watch. But WWE has a very bad history of taking hamminess and taking it too far and letting it go on for too long until it's just not worth watching anymore. And one only needs to look back to the Golden Truth to be your archetype of what that is, what that looks like. And I believe that Marty Scurll probably has a very good understanding that his gimmick would be well beloved in WWE, but at the same time that it would probably get stale because they would push it too far.
Truth.
But I believe that the ability for him to perform that gimmick in front of a larger crowd for more money is probably a big attraction for him too. So I'm going to give it a 45% chance.
I'm going to go a little lower. I'm going to say 35. I still think he's got work to do. That he thinks he has work to do.
Okay.
But again, I have no doubt he'd be excellent in NXT.
Yeah.
He'd get over the first day he got out there.
Yeah. The minute he yells out, "Chicken wing!" the whole crowd would be all over him.
Yep. His charisma, it jumps off the page.
Yeah. All right.
Your turn.
I know you're not as well educated in women's wrestling.
That's fine.
But I'm gonna go here with the artist known as Miss Ginny Couture.
75.
75%?
75%, yeah. That's my first blush. First of all, she'd be most excellent at it. Which is a big reason why. There are some guys who are on the indies who belong on the indies who will get lost in the shuffle. Ginny Couture is not one of them. She would absolutely rise to the top as the British Alexa, for lack of a better term.
Mm-hmm.
And 75%. I think she will be sooner rather than later. To be honest, maybe it's hope. Maybe it's hope, but I think she will be.
I'm with you on that. Given the recent showcase that some of the Progress stars got to have at WrestleMania Access, and she was one of them. And I firmly believe that, you know, Triple H and William Regal both look at her as somebody who could be an excellent foil to their crop of incoming baby faces. Yep. You know, in the form of Nixon Newell, Evie, Kari, Hojo, and some others that are probably going to be
very babyface heavy on the women's side right now.
Absolutely. And Ginny's character, I believe they're probably, if they bring her in, they'll probably tone the character back.
Yeah, it's a little rough for PG.
Yeah. But all the same, I think it's exactly the kind of, you know, person and persona that you want You know, this is a very easy comparison to draw. This is your Sasha Banks, the Boss 2.0,
Yeah.
but with more money and more attitude, and in even less tolerance for your crybaby shit.
Yeah, and your poverty.
Yeah. Oh my god, that tweet still it's just.
Yep.
Oh god, that still stands out to me as one of the biggest heel moments I've ever seen anybody do in all of wrestling anywhere. It's like, you want to live my life, maybe you shouldn't be poor. Oh my god, if only they could like as much as I hate the Miz, and I really hate the Miz, but like if they could get him to say stuff like that, I would actually be on board with him as a heel, because that kind of stuff is like, that's the extreme level that they need to go to with a character like that. And they don't go to that level for the Miz. And that's kind of what makes him just, I just hate him. I don't appreciate his performance. No. But if they took it to that extreme, I would be all in for that. I'd be okay.
I like it. I like it.
All right.
My turn?
Yeah.
Here's a fun one. You ready?
Yeah.
Your friend and mine, Hiroshi Tanahashi.
I'm gonna say 0.
0.
And here's the only reason why. I don't believe, as much as it pains me to say this, I don't believe that Vince McMahon is no longer in control of WWE by 2020, which sucks. But I don't believe that that's going to be the case. And we talked about this, recently.
You think Vince is more likely to sign him than Triple H is?
No. What I think is more likely to happen is when Triple H takes over the company, we start to see some diplomatic inroads being made with other promotions, more so than we've seen, so far. And I believe
he comes in for like an excursion.
Yeah,
for lack of a better phrase. Okay.
Yeah, I think he does like a tour.
Okay.
But I don't believe that WWE
come in, work a 3-month program, go home.
Yeah, I don't believe that WWE is going to want to do that with him, and I don't believe that they're going to want to do that with a guy who is 40 years old and is, by all accounts, not like, I mean, he's not terrible with English, but I don't think that he could deliver an English promo on the spot, off the cuff, without tripping up over some things. I mean, Nakamura, he came in, to NXT, his English was still not the greatest, but over time he got better. But I don't know that they necessarily want to put the money into Tanahashi at this point, because he's even older than Nakamura is, and doesn't have, as much as I love Tanahashi, amazing performer, I love the guy to death, but he doesn't have the nonstop charisma ooze that Nakamura has coming out of every pore of his body.
No, but that's a pretty high bar.
Yeah.
To be fair, I'm gonna say there is a small but noticeable. I'll say 15.
Okay.
I think there's a small chance he's there, but I wouldn't put money on it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think there's a 15, 20, a small yet noticeable chance that he's in WWE, because I think it's the ultimate fuck you to Kadani. Coming over here, okay. Hey, Hiroshi, the guy who made you famous, well, here's double your salary because we can.
Yeah.
Like, I think there's a little bit of that vindictiveness to it.
I could see that. Yeah. I mean, Vince is, if nothing else, is always going to be an egomaniac. I could see that.
That's what I'm basically banking on. Okay. Okay, here's all the yen. Every yen.
Yeah.
Every single yen. All of it.
I bought the Japanese Federal Depository.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm giving all of it to you.
Exactly. Here's every single yen. You got a name for me?
Oh,
we'll do like 4 or 5 more, and then we'll wrap up.
Yeah. Here's one that's definitely gonna pique your interest. Mr. Dalton Castle.
Ooh, my guy.
Mm-hmm.
My guy. High. 70.
Yeah.
Don't forget about Dalton Castle. He could absolutely go.
Oh, he can.
In terms of in-ring ability. It's not just the gimmick. I believe he's a former amateur wrestler of some renown. He's very good in the ring as well. He's incredibly charismatic. He gets his gimmick. I think 70. I think there's a pretty good chance that he gets taken. The next wave.
Okay.
Especially because he's in Ring of Honor where he's doing nothing. Because again, Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
But he won tonight, though.
Which is good. Thank goodness.
Yeah. Plus, he's only 31. And yeah, 70%. Yeah. Per wiki, wrestled for more than 10 years from middle school to college. Yeah. 80% chance. I'm upping mine on the fly.
Okay.
Got a good look, charismatic,
Mm-hmm.
accomplished in ring, can talk, gets his gimmick. He's perfect for them.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with the 75 again. Everything you said, absolutely 100% true. Guy is a absolute charisma machine, incredibly good worker. He's 31 years old. He's got a great career ahead of him. The only thing that gives me a slightest bit of pause, and it's probably not even going to be that big of a factor in the long run, is concerns over what kind of a gimmick to give him, because we've seen NXT has had kind of stop and start launch to the gimmick of Mr. Patrick Clark, who came out for a couple of weeks doing his whole Prince gimmick, disappeared, is now being relaunched in vignettes as the Velveteen Dream, which is basically going to be the same gimmick, but is now getting a full a full promotion ahead of time. So clearly they're okay with that kind of a gimmick, but I think that it's a cautious okay. And this is kind of going to be the test run to see if this kind of a thing can work, because I'm willing to bet that they probably want to have Dalton Castle in there with that same kind of gimmick that he has now, but they want to kind of test the waters a little bit to see if it'll get over, or if it's just going to elicit really rude and obnoxious chanting from the crowd. So I think that this is kind of like this whole period with Patrick Clark and NXT is going to be kind of the test run for whether or not a guy like a Dalton Castle can come in and make that gimmick work, because he makes it work everywhere else he goes. I mean, him showing up in New Japan at Honor Rising with Taguchi and Tanahashi as the boys.
Yep.
Still one of the greatest.
Best. So great.
One of the greatest things of that whole weekend. So good.
Speaking okay, no, you're right.
Yeah,
you're right.
75%.
Speaking of New Japan, here's one for you. You ready?
Yeah.
Tetsuya Naito. Only 35. Incredibly charismatic. Can absolutely go. 34, excuse me. He'll be 35 this year.
Okay.
Incredibly charismatic. Highly accomplished.
I'm going to say 60.
It's about where I am. A little better than average.
I agree. Obviously, everything you said is absolutely undeniable about Naito. Absolutely incredible performer, and goes out, another guy that goes out, puts on amazing matches no matter who's opposite from him. Can go and do a fantastic match with a Michael Elgin and then go and drag a 4-star match out of Ryusuke Taguchi. Great worker. My only concerns are, one, his English, because we don't know, because he hasn't had to speak in English. I mean, yes, he does deliver bits of promos in Spanish, and so he clearly has an aptitude for picking up a language, but we don't know the extent to that aptitude, nor do we know if it applies to English yet. So that remains a question mark. And also, generally speaking, his attitude, like that kind, whether they want to have that kind of a shithead performer, and commit to that, because we saw Kevin Owens debuted on the main roster as shithead Kevin Owens, and then spent a year as third-rate comedy phoning it in Kevin Owens, before they let him go back to shithead Kevin Owens. And I don't know if they want to do that again with another kind of character who excels at being a shithead to people. That is what Naito does best. He excels at being an asshole, and the crowd loves him for it. I mean, he gets cheers for throwing the goddamn belt into the floor.
For abusing the belt. The belt's beat to shit because of him, but don't matter. Every other shirt is an LIJ shirt, it looks like, a Cork and Hall shirt. Yeah,
absolutely.
I'm going to jump in real quick because this is your thing. Adam Rice says Rachel Ellering.
Oh, I'm going to go 90.
I think that sounds all right.
Because she's already shown up on NXT a couple of times. She was actually in the Battle Royal that they just had. I have no doubt in my mind that she is going to be in the women's tournament this year, and I am 90% sure that after that Battle Royal is the women's tournament is over, she will sign a contract and come to work in NXT. I mean, they had already brought her in and were starting to use her last year, but then as soon as her father showed up with the Authors of Pain, then she disappeared and wasn't used anymore as enhancement talent. So, yeah, 90% that she shows up now and they also renamed her for the Battle Royal. So I think that they can continue with that and just keep her working on a pseudonym.
How about this one that just popped up in the thread? Santana Garrett.
15%, if that.
Yeah, 20.
Not Santana has. I mean, she's also shown up in NXT, but the exact opposite. I know as well as I know anybody else in women's wrestling that Santana Garrett is committed to staying on the circuit because she makes bank on the circuit because she's an amazing performer that can go out and have a great match with anybody, and she wants to be able to do that without restrictions. So there's literally no reason for her to sign with WWE when she can go to Japan, work a Stardom show, come back, work a Women of Honor show, go around with Women's Wrestling Revolution or Shimmer or Shine, wherever she wants to go. She'll show up, put on a great match, make bank, go to the next one. And I think that that's the kind of lifestyle that she likes.
Which, by the way, I don't know if you were going to name him or not, is exactly how I feel about Zack Sabre Jr.
Yeah.
I know you didn't name him, and I'm going to let you name one guy, but Zack Sabre Jr., I'm at like the same exact threshold.
Yeah.
That he's the king of the indies right now. He loves showing up and wrestling old dudes in Mexico or young dudes in the U.S. or guys in Japan or whatever, and I think he just loves setting his own schedule. He makes bank. He does his own thing. He's his own man. So the exact same thing you said about Santana Garrett, I'm going to say about my boy, Zachy Three Belts.
Yeah, and I'm going to echo those sentiments exactly. I think that's part of the reason why he didn't sign after the Cruiserweight Classic, because he likes being able to do what he does without restrictions, and I can't fault him for that. All right, so one more each,
and then we'll wrap up.
All right, so here's one. Here's one. Good one. I got one for you. Ooh. This is going to be a very divisive one.
Oh.
Timothy Thatcher.
5.
5?
10. 10. No way. No way.
You don't
No way. Not in 3 years. I don't see them. I don't see him getting in ever, and at least not by the self-imposed deadline. Excuse me. Yeah. No. His boring grapple fuck is not what they like in their wrestlers at all. He's not really that charismatic. Sorry, Reverend Kane. I know you love him, and I love you, but I don't love him. No. He doesn't have a great look. Like, no. Sorry. 10% is my final answer, Regis. 10%.
I'm going to go a little bit higher. I'm going to say 30%.
Okay.
Because WWE has shown that they have a commitment to grapple fuck wrestling, because they just introduced the United Kingdom Championship, and
but those guys have charisma.
They're giving the UK Championship its own show, and I think it's only a matter of time before we see people from outside the UK enter into that show. And I think they're gonna want to have a guy who is well known for his grapple fuck to go in there. And here's the other thing about the UK show. This being what it is, a lot of the guys on the UK show are guys who qualify as cruiserweights. They're smaller guys. Tyler Bate is fucking tiny. Pete Dunne. He calls himself the bruiserweight. He's only 205. You know,
on a good day.
Mark Andrews, Trent Seven, all these guys, small guys. You know, Jack Gallagher will probably end up on that show. Small guy. And I think it's only a matter of time before Vince says, you know what? I need some sort of beef on that show. Who's a good grappler who weighs, over 220? There you go, Tim Thatcher. So I'm gonna give it a 30%. I agree with you that there is certainly an unlikely aspect to it, given the fact that he is, not exactly the most charismatic performer that there was. But I mean, the guy's resume is undeniable. He's worked, all over the circuit. He's worked in America, the UK, Germany, Australia. He's been all over the place, and has shown, even if he needs to have a mouthpiece like Stokely, he'll get it done in the ring, even if he doesn't get it done on the mic. I think that they could bring him in and make it work. So that's my Tim Thatcher exposition.
All right. I need a name. I had a name. What the hell happened to it? It just left my head. The name I had a name and it left my head, and the hell did I just do with it? Grr, back up. Where's his name? I had a name and I saw it. I was like, oh yeah, that's a good name. And then I don't know what the hell happened to it. This is thrilling radio, guys. I'm so sorry. Oh man. Oh, duh. Roosh. That's my name, Roosh from CMLL.
Oh man. You give your thoughts first, because I am so conflicted.
70. Only reason he's not yet is because he don't speak English. And that's a relatively easy fix. Like, he's better than Almas in almost every capacity, and they're still looking for that Mexican star. And he's got a good look. He's great in the ring. He is super, super over, gets heat with the drop of a hat. 70 is my number.
Okay. So hard to decide on this one because, the guy is better than Almas. Yes, he is.
And I like this new Almas gimmick, by the way. And we'll talk about this next week a little more. But yeah. I like what they're doing with Almas.
He certainly has the charisma, and he's only 28 too, which is good.
Let's see, beat the crap out of a guy with a bag of popcorn. How do you not love that?
I'm gonna go with 60 just because the not speaking English thing. I mean, Almas has made it work so far because he's integrated in English amongst his Spanish. I don't know if Roosh can do that. And plus, I think that one of the biggest things that makes Roosh as good as he is the whole aspect of being part of that stable, and just the stable itself. I mean, Roosh enhances the stable, absolutely, but the stable also enhances Roosh. That's been a defining aspect of Los Ingobernables in CMLL. And I don't know if WWE wants to do that. I mean, yeah, they've dropped Ingobernable in matches. They've given him Tranquilo for Almas. They do that whole thing. And yeah, I get that. But I don't know if they really want to commit to that kind of a stable, because like stables in WWE lately, when they're introducing stables, have to have a gimmick that takes things to the extreme. Like, look at Sanity, look at Authors of Pain, going back, look at the Shield, look at the Wyatts. These are stables that take things to an extreme degree. And I don't know that we really have an extreme with Los Ingobernables. They're just guys who want to buck authority and, talk shit. I don't know that there really is an extreme degree that you can take that to. But I can't. I mean, you can't deny the talent, though. I'm going to go with 60.
Fun fact: his two brothers, Dragon Lee and Mystico 2.0.
Yeah, I love that. The
Know that. That's
the whole
awesome.
story.
I love how everyone in Mexican wrestling is related to everyone else in Mexican wrestling. I love that so much.
The whole family is great. I mean, his father is freaking Toro Blanco, Arturo Munoz. It's currently working under the mask for CML as Comandante Pieroth.
Yeah, who's also excellent.
That's his father. The whole freaking family is currently employed.
Plus, I think in Rush's 6 feet 220, which is a little larger than many Mexican stars are.
Yes.
I mean, even Almas is listed at 5'11" and $180.
Yeah.
So this guy's an inch taller and 40 pounds heavier, and he carries it too. He's not. It's muscle. It's not fat. In his case, he's definitely puts the time in the gym. So I think that will be a factor in his favor that attracts WWE's eye.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to say 70. 70, 75 is my answer.
Okay.
But we're in the same ballpark, more or less. I mean, we're quibbling over the margins here.
Exactly.
I think the big one we disagree on is Timmy Thatcher.
Yeah. But mine is entirely based on a prediction about how this UK show is going to go.
Doesn't matter why. Just matters that it happens.
I will say at the gate, I could be entirely wrong. 100% likely that I could be entirely wrong.
Have fun.
We'll see.
You got any parting thoughts before we get out of here?
I mean, there are so many names that I wanted to mention that still could be mentioned. We could do a whole second show on this.
Yeah, maybe we will later. Who knows? Yeah. We'll just go through the roster real quick. This is a fun little gimmick.
Yeah, so we'll do a sequel to this down the line. But next week, we've got 2 shows to preview, and I think we're also going to have some Best of Super Juniors results to look over at that point, because the matches have already started, if I am not mistaken. I believe that some of the matches have already taken place. And
real quick before we sign off, Tessa Blanchard. 30 seconds on Tessa Blanchard.
40% because of her name,
that's basically it.
But also because of her attitude.
Yeah, in the same ballpark, 35-ish.
Yeah. So
next week, Evolve, NXT, Backlash, the Chicago Trio.
Yeah.
Thursday, right? No Friday next week?
Yeah, we're actually going to be broadcasting on Thursday, and it's going to be a special 2 Guys 1 Sport. Episode 11 is going to be my friggin' 31st birthday, because I'm an 31st? Old goddamn man.
Yeah. Happy birthday, old timer. You're right behind me.
Yep. So we're going to be podcasting on my birthday. I'll probably have some sort of extravagant Chinese takeout meal to treat myself or whatever. And then the following week we'll be right back to Friday nights. Yeah. This was a good show, and thank you guys for tuning in.
Thanks for the contribution, ladies and gentlemen. It really is a lot of fun bantering with you guys.
Yeah, I mean, we really enjoy this live interaction. It's a lot of fun. So tell your friends, tell your family, tune in. Get them to be wrestling fans alongside the rest of us crazy folks.
That's it. Thanks again for listening, everyone. We'll see you Thursday, 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern, for the massive Chicago Trio preview show. For Chris, this is George. This has been 2 Guys 1 Sport. And as always, don't pull a Bret Hart and work yourself into a shoot.
Don't be Bret Hart.
Don't be Bret Hart.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, guys.